which is the application portal that you would use to apply to any undergraduate degree program in the UK. Is everyone in the room familiar with UCAS? Yes. Has anyone never heard of UCAS before? Can everyone hear me? Yes, okay. So UCAS stands for the Universities and Colleges Application Service, and it's a central body that administers all university applications in the UK. So it's separate to the universities. UCAS, being an online portal, allows you to track your application online via your own personal login, and you can access this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so you can make various changes to your application form up until the date and time that you submit it. So within the UCAS form as well, you're able to make multiple course selections or choices, which I'll come to later, but it is just one application form, and you can apply for up to 5 different university programs. Now this could be 5 different programs at 5 different institutions, or it could be 5 programs at one institution. If you are applying for some of our direct entry programs like medicine or dentistry, you're only able to apply for 4 courses, and we would ask, or we would recommend, that your 5th choice be a backup subject, just to make sure that you got entry into a program. So you can see the fees are noted at the bottom of the page, so it's a relatively inexpensive process, and it's very similar cost for applying for one program versus multiple programs. So for this reason, we would always encourage you to apply for more than one program. And you can keep adding to your UCAS course selections up until you've made that 5th choice. So how does UCAS work? We would recommend that students are researching programs, they're researching subjects and majors that they want to study at university. And you should do this well in advance of your application. So within UCAS, you can search for various different subjects and programs, and it will list which universities offer these subjects and programs as well. Additionally, you can do research on individual institutional web pages, and they will also include links to the UCAS form through here. And then once you've made your choices, once you've shortlisted or made a list of all the programs that you're hoping to apply for, that's when you can start to kind of put together your UCAS application. So UCAS applications are open a year prior to entry. So for students looking to apply or to join a university program from September 2020, UCAS opened for applications this past September. So they opened 1 year in advance, and you can actually start to set up your UCAS account just before this. Listed up on the slide are some really important dates for your calendar, and these are our hard and fast deadlines, so there is no flexibility here. The most important thing to note is for students looking for, again, those professional direct entry degree programs, such as medicine, veterinary medicine, dentistry, vet science, and all the programs offered at Oxford and Cambridge, you must submit your application in full by October 15th. And this is, again, the year prior to when you want to begin the program. The next step, yeah? Yes, it's passed. Yep. So if you're hoping to study medicine next September, you have already missed the deadline. So if you're the only option now for medicine or dentistry or veterinary subjects for UK institutions would be from September 2021. And for that, you would need to apply by October 15th, 2020. The next deadline to note is January 15th. Now this is the domestic deadline for students on UCAS. So all students within the UK and across Europe, this is their deadline. So we generally recommend that all international applicants also apply by this deadline. And this is to ensure that their application is considered in a competitive way, and to make sure programs are still available for all students before they get closed after the home students deadline. Some other programs have later deadlines, which you can see on the page, but for anyone interested in applying for university scholarships, again, we would generally recommend that you apply to the university through UCAS as early as possible and certainly by January 15th. And this is because for most university scholarships, you would be required to have already applied to the university via UCAS and to have already heard back and received that offer to study. So it's best to get the process started as soon as possible. So again, for those interested in September 2020 and joining a UK program next year, if you've not already applied, applications are open via UCAS and you can start to submit those now. Of course, medicine and dentistry, Oxford, Cambridge, veterinary medicine are all closed for this year. Any questions on those key deadlines? Yeah? That's a great question. So although these deadlines do seem quite early, we appreciate that you're still completing your current school transcripts or your current school qualifications, and it's perfectly okay. And in fact, it's very common to apply before you get your final grades. So in the next slide, I'll take you through the application, and I'll tell you where to put in what you're currently doing.
12th grade students who are interested to apply for external scholarships, there is a briefing at the seminar hall. You are requested to please proceed to the seminar hall. I repeat, all Tanavia and 12th grade students who are interested to apply for external scholarships are requested to please proceed to the seminar hall. There is a briefing being organized under the patronage of the Ministry of Higher Education. Thank you.
Yes, okay. So the application form for UCAS consists of these 5 different sections. So you've got your personal information section where you include all the details about yourself. You have your course selections, and this is where you list your top 5 choices, and you will rank them in order. However, the universities cannot see this rank. The qualifications is the next section, and then the personal statement and the reference. So within the qualification section, so this is where we want to see your schooling. So what diploma are you currently studying? Are you taking any standardized testing? Are you doing SATs or APs or the IB diploma? And it's perfectly okay and definitely very common for students to still be completing all of these qualifications during the time of submission. So what you would do is you would put into the qualification section the name of the qualification that you're undertaking and when you're expecting to graduate or when you're expecting to have achieved that qualification. So for example, you might put AP History, AP Biology, and AP Chemistry, exams taken in May 2020. So just indicate when you will finish or undertake that final exam or qualification. And that will allow our admissions selectors and our admissions teams to assess and analyze your application by what you're expecting to do. And then when you submit your reference, your counselor or one of your teachers would also include what we call your predicted grades. So they would give a bit of background about you as a student, and they would talk about where they think you'll end up in terms of your grades or your percentage, and that's how your application will be assessed. Does that make sense? So I'm not going to talk too much about the personal statement or the reference because there are sessions coming up that will go into those in a bit more detail. But I will just give a few words here on the personal statement.
All Tanavia and 12th grade students, a presentation on the UCAS system by the University of Edinburgh is ongoing at the seminar hall. All interested to apply for the same are requested to please proceed to the seminar hall.
Okay. Okay, so about the personal statement, as I said, there is a session later that will talk much more about this, but just to give a few top tips for you. So the personal statement when you're applying to a UK university is different to when you're applying to, say, schools in the US. So one thing to remember about your personal statement is that you have one statement for all 5 of your choices. So you might be applying to 5 different universities. So it's very important to not talk about how much you want to study at one of these universities if you're applying to different ones. We would often suggest that your personal statement is academically motivated. So what we really want you to do is answer 2 basic questions throughout this personal statement. And the first question is, why do you want to study the subjects that you're applying for. So why do you want to study medicine, or why do you want to study engineering? And this might be because of a class that you had in high school, it might be because your career requires you to study these subjects, but why are you, as an individual, interested in these subjects? And the second question we want you to answer is, what skills, what knowledge, what expertise can you bring to the cohort of students? Why would you be a good candidate to study on this program? So what would make you a good doctor or a good engineer? Have you developed leadership skills through some of your academic classwork or through some of your school experiences? Have you done any volunteer work that have developed your critical thinking skills or anything like that? So drawing in the skills and abilities that you've developed that would make you a great student at university. So we want to know why and how you would be successful building on these key skills and competencies. You can see again here that I've noted that your personal statement should be mainly academic. So we would recommend 80% academic to 20% extracurricular. And what I mean by that is that your examples that you're talking about should really relate to your studies. So we don't want to see a list of all of your extracurricular achievements, but we want to know what's most important and what are you most proud of that you've achieved academically. And those are the key things that we'll be looking for as we assess your statement. So after you've completed your application form, what happens next? So as I said at the beginning, UCAS is separate to the universities in the UK. So UCAS is its independent service. Once they receive your application, they will send it through to your course selections. So once the universities receive your application, this usually goes to admissions teams or academic selectors who will begin to review and assess your suitability. For some programs, you might have further qualifications to achieve. This might be an interview, for example, or internal admissions tests. And these, again, might apply for some subjects. Generally speaking, as soon as you submit your application, most universities will typically start to process your offers. And every university has their own timeline for submitting and replying to offers. However, as a general rule, no later than March 31st, you should hear back from all of your UCAS choices. So when you hear back from universities, there are 3 different offer types. There are unconditional offers, or there's conditional offers, or you could be made unsuccessful. So an unsuccessful application is one that won't go much further, it won't be progressing, whereas an unconditional or a conditional offer means you've been accepted by the institution. And the difference between an unconditional and a conditional offer means that a conditional offer is accepted, but there are specific further conditions or additional requirements that you have to meet. And this is probably the most common type of offer for students who are still completing their degree. So if you've not yet completed your AP exams or your diploma, then this is most likely going to be the condition of your offer. But that's okay, it doesn't mean you've been waitlisted or anything, it's still very much a confirmed offer. You just need to finish those additional tests first. Now, an unconditional offer would be when you've already completed your diploma or your exams and you're completely accepted and ready to go. So once you've heard back from all of your choices, you can start to reply to your offers. So again, you can apply to 5 different selections or to 5 different universities on the application form. However, you're only able to accept 2 university offers. So you very well might receive 5 different offers for UK universities, but you're only able to accept 2. These are called your firm or your insurance choice. So your firm choice would be your first choice of university or program. This is where you really, really want to go. It's the program that you most want to study. Your second choice would be your insurance choice. That's your backup. That's where you'd like to go if you don't get into that first choice. So what typically happens is that students who have different conditional offers would tend to accept the higher offer as their firm choice, and the lower offer as their second choice. So for example, you might receive one offer that says you need to complete your diploma with a 90%. And you might receive another offer that says you need to complete your offer with an 80%. Typically, students would accept the 90% offer as their firm choice and the 80% offer as their insurance choice. This means if they don't hit that 90%, they'll still get into their insurance choice. Does that make sense? The only time you cannot accept two offers is if the first offer that you accept, your firm choice, is unconditional. If you firmly accept an unconditional offer, that means you're 100% committed to going to that university to undertake that program, and you will automatically decline the rest of your offers. So again, once all universities have replied to you, you can then make your choices. You don't have to reply to any of your offers until you've received all 5 of your offers back from all of your UCAS choices. So that is the overview that I wanted to provide about UCAS, but I wanted to save some time at the end to answer any specific questions that you might have. I know some of you came in late, so happy to kind of go over what we talked about in the beginning, but the most important thing, I'll probably put this back up, is the key dates and deadlines. If anyone missed this slide. So these are very important. Again, they're non-negotiable firm deadlines, and if you are interested in these programs, specifically medicine or dentistry or veterinary medicine,